Good day, everybody. This is Dana Massey with Ascend Your Soul and the Mindful Mama. I feel like I talk about this topic a lot, but it feels like an unpackaging and unearthing, and it's a layered topic. So I'm thinking about, my brain is dirty. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta clean it. Why don't we, what frustrates me is why doesn't the world talk about relationships and marriage in a realistic and helpful way? And maybe they do, and maybe just my realm has been different and my journey has been different. But per my experience with my clients and just meeting various types of people, I feel like there's a common core, a misconception of what real romantic relationships are and what marriage really is. So I think about it this way. Sibling relationships can be difficult. Parent to child relationships can be difficult, and those relationships can ebb and flow. But why do we romanticize and fantasize about what a marriage is supposed to be and what a long-term partnership looks like? I feel like there's a lot of emphasis placed on like the chemistry and the feelings and the physicality, and this person should fit all my needs. This person should know what I'm thinking about, should know what I need, should be able to fulfill all my needs. And Esther Perel talks about this a lot, and I love her so much for doing this, talking about the realness of what romantic partnerships really should be. And she talks about we expect one person to fulfill all our needs, which in the past, centuries ago, it would be an entire village would complete the needs of one person. So we're expecting, so a village could have been 20 people, could have been 100 people. We're expecting this one person to complete all our needs. That is narcissistic. To think that this person has popped into our life to do everything for us, it just doesn't sit right with me. But I'm compassionate about it because that's what we're taught. That's what movies talk about, cartoons talk about. That's what the programming, at least for women, has been, at least from my experience. So why don't we talk more about, and that's why I kind of compare like a long-term relationship to a sibling relationship. You're not always perfect. You're not always in sync. You're not the same. Yet in that relationship, I feel like we can find more acceptance and move through it easier. But no, when it comes to a romantic relationship, it gets really hard and sticky to move through and accepting each other, accepting the differences, and making space and room for that. Because I feel like there's a programming that's trying to figure out, is this the one? No, this can't be the one because he's not reading my mind. She's not fulfilling all of my needs. So this cannot be the one. On to the next. Clock is ticking, so I have to hurry up and weed through all of these partners that are not the one to find the one, only to wake up to understand that you are the one for you. So this whole time you've been chasing to find the one, it's been you the whole time. So I want to talk about marriage is beautiful. A long-term partnership is beautiful. Let's talk about the benefits. You get to share your life with someone. And what does that mean? That means shared memories, shared experiences. When you go on vacation, you have this person that knows you inside and out, knows your flaws, knows what you like, knows what you dislike. But what comes with that? Conflict comes with that. Challenges come with that. Boredom comes with that. Lost of those like lustful, sparkling feelings. Esther Perel talks about desire is separate from love. No matter what relationship you're in, a short-term relationship, a one-night stand, a long-term relationship, a marriage, desire has to be fed. Desire has to be initiated. Intention has to be placed on desire. So when you're in a long-term partnership, a marriage, yes, that's going to fade. That's going to fade. You know, it's like you get really excited to see your sister. You get really excited to see your brother. But because you don't like live with them anymore. So you're like, oh, I'm so excited to hang out with this person and to have these experiences. But I bet you if you lived with that person and think back to your childhood, you're punching them, you're kicking them, you're saying negative statements to them. You're sick of them. You're thinking like, I can't wait to like not live with this person. Okay, then you don't live with this person and you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see you. Again, it's similar to that element of desire. Like now you're bored, you're used to this person. You want something different to feed yourself, to stimulate yourself. So with desire, when that trickles down, sometimes people mistake that as like, oh, I'm falling out of love with you. What the fuck does that mean? You have fallen out of love with me. Break it down. How does that happen? No, the desire has slowed down. And if that's what you're seeking, if you just want to feed that desire over and over, maybe short-term relationships are what is good for you. Unless you actually want to put that work and that effort behind the desire to think of new ways to be creative, to infuse that desire into a long-term relationship. Nothing is good or bad. Nothing is right or wrong. I think it's good to know the difference and what works for you and what you're looking for. So it's like when you're in a long-term relationship, maybe you create this family together. So now you have these children together. Maybe they're stepchildren and you've created this family. So you have all these shared stories and then you get to share in the experiences. You know, so that could be a benefit. But then you're with the same person. So then it's like that boredom kind of like trickles in, you know, and the challenges come in. Maybe someone has been unfaithful. Maybe there has been an affair. So do you have those tools to work through that? You know, like Esther Perel talks about, there's not a lot of space, like betrayal, like affairs are super common, yet we do not have a set of tools in our typical relationships to work through it and to heal it. She talks about affair is like someone who's sober slips up, but they can get sober again. So it's like the same thing with an affair. It's like we kind of like, nope, it's bad, bye, you're out of here. And honestly, it's because we don't have a language and a set of tools to work through it. There's that shame and that guilt and what's wrong with me. But that's not the truth about it. That person chose something to escape, has nothing to do with you, has everything to do with them, and actually they can get sober again. So it's thinking about that too. So why don't we actually talk about marriage in the sense of, in a long-term relationship in the sense of, it's hard work, but it's just like the hard work when you have a sibling and to keep that relationship strong and close. And it's not the hard work of like dragging your heels and this is so awful and like don't get married, you'll be chained to your partner, like all of that lingo that we hear of the negativity of marriage. But it's the hard work of like you've had that friend for 10 years and it hasn't always been pretty, but when you're together the connection is so deep. You finish each other's sentences, you laugh, you have so much enriching memories and content to relive and connect with. But also what comes with that, when you ebb and flow, there's pain, there's sadness, there's happiness, there's depth, there's disconnection. So it's like we expect that again in sibling relationships and friendships, but why don't we have that expectation and realistic expectation of like, in my long-term relationships, I'm going to feel disconnected. I'm going to not like this person. Some days I'm going to feel so turned on by this person. Some days I'm not going to want them 10 feet close to me. We don't really talk about that because we fantasize about marriage and we tell people it's the best thing ever. Oh my gosh, you found your soulmate. That's amazing. Marriage is great. It's fantastic. And then you start going through the tough years and you're thinking there's something wrong with you, or is there something wrong with this relationship? No, there's not. You're going through life. Two people getting to know each other and figuring out how to do the dance together. And the dance changes. As you evolve and you grow and they grow, the dance completely changes. It should be a completely different marriage. So I just want to encourage us to be, and I know I kind of like went into like the affair talk for a second, but that's a whole different conversation, is just like we need a set of tools with that to work through that, we really need a set of tools of honest conversation of what marriage and what a long-term relationship means. Why would we choose this over a short term? Why would we put the work in to a marriage or a long-term relationship? Talk about that with your kids. Talk about that with your friends and family. Because I think we talk more about everything is good and bad and black and white, and we really don't talk about what the journey is about. When we celebrate someone that's been married for 30 or 50 years, what are we celebrating? Are we just celebrating like, oh wow, two people made it that long and they're still alive? Or are we celebrating the ebbs and flows of their relationship? The good and the bad, the ugly, the highs and the lows. And why would we stay in a situation that's not always the same? Why would we say yes to a situation that has those ebb and flows? What do those ebb and flows create? It creates connection. It creates depth. It creates this beautiful understanding. It's like the vision I have in my hand is like when you see your kids graduate and you're just holding your partner's hands and you don't have to say anything, but there's this understanding like we made it. We made it to another stage, you know? So just think about that and even evaluate what's your relationship with your relationships. Do you really understand why you're in relationships with certain people? What does it mean? What's the fruits coming from it that equal or even outweigh the labor that you put into that relationship? Namaste.